The Latin Nexus Business Networking Group is a community-driven movement that is dedicated to connecting entrepreneurs, leaders, and visionaries from all walks of life in order to build a better and stronger community for all of us to live, work, and create a future for our families.
Hello, hello, and good afternoon, everyone. Super excited for today, last day of the year. My name is Jeannie, and I'm the founder of Latin Nexus. And this is where we connect with visionaries and we build legacies, right? For those that are here now and those that are to come. Today's conversation is super important for so many of us, and I'm very excited for my guest today. And because he has successful business, he has the family, he has everything in place right now, and the fitness. And we're here to kind of pick his brain, especially for the New Year's, because I know we all have some quotes that kind of fly out there, are very common, and we're always saying and sharing with others. But I'm super excited for today. As you can see, I have my background, so you might get a hint of who it is. So I would love my guests to jump on. I have the amazing Joe Randazzo with us today. Let's see where he's at.
Jeannie, what's going on, girl? How are you?
Good, good. So I'm so excited to have you for many reasons. Um, if journey of fitness is something that it's beautiful, like I see people kind of stay on social platforms watching everyone do the work, but then they don't want to do the work, right? So we're gonna kind of jump into that. But before that, I really want to know, I want you to share with the audience because they don't know you, right? A lot of people do know you here in our local area, but some do not. And this is the chance that we have so to bring awareness of where you're at and who you are, right? And people kind of warm up to you when they know where you came from. At least I do. I always like to look at people's past because I always say success leaves clues, right? And I want to know where you came from. How did this all go about and where you're at right now? So if you can give us something brief that we can kind of piggyback on.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm a personal trainer. I've been in the fitness industry my entire career. I got certified as a trainer when I was 19. Prior to that, I was in high school working out, played sports, was involved in the gym. My wife was an athlete. Her and I both in college fell in love with our athletic backgrounds, kind of sprung us into fitness in general and the weight room and really figuring out our own fitness journey post athletics and whatnot. And we fell in love with weightlifting. We figured out we're kind of decent at it. And then we got certified as personal trainers and started helping people in the gym in college, and eventually just progressed to starting our own, personal training business. So like I said, I got certified when I was 19. My wife was the same, 19 or 20. And we just started helping people kind of naturally for fun. People reached out and we just gave them the best advice we could, and over the years it's progressed to now our profession, and I'm fairly confident we can help anyone that comes into our ecosystem. I'm not a fan of people that say they can help everyone and everyone, everything and everyone with every problem, but most of the people we deal with are focusing on losing body fat, building some lean muscle, improving how they move, improving how they feel, how they look. That's usually what we take care of, and that is generally in our wheelhouse. And yeah, we have our personal training business that we operate out of East Stroudsburg. My wife trains clients, I train clients. We share a lot of the responsibilities. So we have none of our members exclusively work with just one of us. We kind of piggyback off each other and bring forward both our strengths and weaknesses to be able to help the individual member and the individual client progress towards their goals. But yeah, we've been doing it 10 years now, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. It's the best job in the world.
It definitely is. I know I was actually in that world a little bit in my past, and that's why I'm super excited to have you in here because while I was kind of thinking of what I should ask, like it brought back so many memories. I went down my rabbit hole of my past and I got super excited. But I went down your videos and I was like, holy crap, I saw you like competing in bodybuilding, which is an amazing, it's very difficult thing. I also had started my journey in fitness when I was 19. So I kind of understand. And I remember when I would watch a lot of bodybuilders in our gym. It wasn't a conventional gym. It wasn't open to the public. It was very
Mhm.
strictly about bodybuilding. And I
Mhm.
remember how they had to kind of literally strip their body,
Oh,
like
yeah.
counting everything calories. Their water intake was crazy for me,
Mhm.
especially as the competition grew closer, right? So your intake of water also had to decrease. And that was always crazy to me, just watching
Yeah.
people, I never got to that extreme of competition, but I was close. I was close,
Mhm.
but I just, I just thought it was too much, too much for me.
It's a
Um,
lot.
yeah, but I saw you in competing, and you know what? I admire it. I admire that you did that, and that also, if I was a client looking for someone, that would be what I would be looking for in
Yeah.
a coach. And the reason why, which I want you to elaborate, and I know a lot of people, I hear a lot of people saying, like, I'm cutting on this or I'm doing this, and they're kind of doing these things on their own,
Mhm.
right? So I would love for you to kind of tap it. I want to ask you so many questions. My brain is like going a mile a minute.
That's okay.
But I would love for you to tap into how a person should start their journey,
Yeah.
especially now. We know 2026 is when all the
Mhm.
gyms make a lot of money, right? And it's because
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
it's
Definitely get a lot of interest at this time of year for sure. There's a lot of conversations happening. They're really exciting conversations.
been
But yeah, I'll take it. I'll take you where you left it off. So the key to where does someone start is essentially the question. Well, you have to. The biggest thing there is just starting in general. A lot of times we talk about. You said at the beginning of our of the segment. People like to kind of watch the videos and get motivated, and we all love that feeling. We all like to feel motivated. That's why that stuff works. But taking action is that next step, and so many people never even get to that point. So where does someone have to start? Well, first you just have to start. Now that's easy for me to say as someone that helps people start their journey every week, every day. We're having these conversations. So when I tell someone, okay, well, you just have to start. All right, well, now what, right? Where do we go? So generally speaking, I tell people to focus on like 3 main pillars of their fitness journey that they can then start improving on, right? And it's going to be your movement, it's going to be your nutrition, and it's going to be your mindset throughout the entire thing, which a lot of times we can reframe that a million different ways through accountability and whatnot. But when it comes to the fitness side of things, generally speaking, or the movement side of things, generally speaking, most people have to get into the gym, right? It's not, I very rarely speak in absolutes, but if I ever would, that's pretty much where I would tell people, if you aren't fit now, or you aren't satisfied with where you're at right now, chances are you're not going to have access to what you need, depending on what your starting point is, what you need, like just at home, right? If you did, you probably would be doing it to some degree now, and you'd have to improve it. But if you're starting from scratch, step foot into a gym. And if you have very little confidence, very little knowledge, or very little time to dedicate to figuring it out on your own, then hire help. And that's obviously where we come into play. And that's not meant to be a sales pitch, but you will save yourself so much frustration and so much time if you just let someone guide you who has done it before. Because the thing I like to tell people is, the individual I'm talking to, across the table when they have interest, is this is your first time, maybe second, third, fourth time starting your fitness journey, right? And you've done it different ways, how every time you've done it, and it hasn't stuck. The person I'm talking to, this is my 500th time starting this with someone, 600th time.
Yeah.
I've seen people walk this path plenty of times. So, and of course, you got to go with someone that you do trust, and, look at their track record and whatnot. But walk in the gym and get some help, and primarily focus on just moving your body more. It doesn't have to be this big elaborate program right out the gate. You don't have to have right away the most specific goals in the world. Again, this is still general advice, so other people, this might be a little different. But you don't have to have the most significant specific goals in the world. Just start doing something, and then the next step of that is going to be nutrition. So you don't have to go from eating whatever you want, whenever you want, to then to then eating nothing but chicken and spinach all day long. No, it has to be some level of progression, because you have to remember, whatever you do when it comes to the gym, when it comes to your diet, whatever you do has to be geared towards something that you can sustain for the rest of your life. So if tomorrow, it's New Year's Eve today. If tomorrow, January 1st, you say, I'm not eating anything but chicken and veggies the rest of the year, You aren't going to do it. And if you did do it the rest of the year, you're not going to do it the rest of your life, most likely. And then you're going to have no skills to actually fall back on. So it's very common, regurgitated advice to a degree. We say it all the time, but it starts small, start building small, better habits that stack on top of each other. And eventually you'll get addicted to the progress you see. You will gain confidence in knowing you can actually do this. And then you can see, all right, where can I make more progress? Where can I improve? All right. If you went from eating everything and anything in sight to then 5 days a week following some sort of structured meal plan and giving yourself 2 days to kind of relax a little, then you progress to 6 days, then you progress to one meal maybe off, where the rest of the week is regimented, and all that's going to be relative to your goals. And then when it comes to mindset, it really just comes down to staying consistent and remaining accountable, whether it's accountable to yourself or accountable to a trainer, a coach, a friend group, a gym, other gym members you start to become friends with. When someone sees you in the gym 3, 4, 5 days a week around the same time every day or every week, they're going to notice when you're not there anymore. And all of a sudden now other gym members you never even knew before are keeping you accountable. So those are the 3 areas we focus on the most: is move your body more, adjust your diet in alignment with your goals, and be consistent and accountable to what you say you're going to do.
Yeah. No, you're 100%. I love everything that you touch. Mindset is definitely key. I know from experience, for those that knew me in different areas in my life, they knew I was very fit. And then now I did fall off the bandwagon, and I got on a month and a half ago, right? So I didn't want to wait till January. I was like, no, I got to do it before January.
Love it.
And I love that you said you don't have to change what you're eating immediately and change everything. And I think that's where people do the mistakes. So with me, when I started, I started very, very small little things, even my workout was 10 minutes, just to start getting my body movement. And like I said, I went down your Facebook and everything. I also saw that you read the compound.
The compound effect.
The compound effect. And that's literally, which is one of my amazing books. I have it here. I have it already. Is that one, I love books, so the fact that people don't understand that they can start with 10 minutes a day. Right. So it's just building little habits. So I love that you 100%. Touched on that. And then nutrition, I feel, is something everyone fights with because in reality, there's so many things popping up. Right. And I know I asked you this question once. I was like, how is it that someone can start something with nutrition? Maybe they don't have the money, right, to get a nutritionist or order already prepped meals, which is a wonderful thing, right? But they might not have the money for that. What are some advice that you can give someone that is home? Maybe, they don't have all these resources. Where would they begin with nutrition once they're feeling that they can go into that change?
For sure. So in that case, if someone's resources are relatively limited, the first thing I'm telling them to do then is just track your food in general. Track everything you're doing now. Now that advice would slightly change. Like if someone was like a client of ours and we had a good idea of where they're at, because everyone's personality is a little different. But if I'm just giving someone blanket advice, I tell them track everything you're eating and learn how to control your calories, because depending on your resources, you're eating something, right? You're eating something because you're alive right now. And if you are out of shape, if you're overweight and you want to lose weight, that by definition means you have been over an extended period of time eating more than you probably should. And then a lot of times the conversation turns into, well, I don't feel like I eat a lot. Well, that's why we have to track it. That's why we have to remain accountable to our food, because you might be surprised on how many calories you are actually consuming, but you never paid attention to it. And right there, you can find some really easy, like low-hanging fruit changes you can make to then, and then make those changes, and you'll end up progressing. So I tell them to track their food and learn how to control their calories. And then part 2 to that, because you can track your food all day long, but if you don't know what you're supposed to be tracking against and what your limits are supposed to be, what your targets should be. So part 2 of that would be do your due diligence, go on YouTube and learn everything you can about caloric intake and macronutrients. If someone understands calories as a whole and how they interact with our body from an energy perspective, and then how you can manipulate them to lose weight. If someone understands that, and they understand part 2 to that, or B to that, would be how their macronutrients should be dispersed throughout the day. If you can figure those 2 things out, and I'm not saying you're going to figure that out overnight, but you'll start gaining some clarity around that while you are gaining control over your food. You would be shocked at how much more clarity you'll have around your nutrition in general, and how little, and you're skipping so many, you're making so many strides if you just focus on that. So that's the first thing I would tell people. You don't have to do some insane meal prep. You don't need to be buying everything in the organic aisle at the grocery stores. Your grocery bill doesn't have to be nuts. You don't have to be spending hours and hours and hours a day meal prepping. Do what you're look at just what you're doing now and start making small changes there. You'd be shocked how much progress you make just from that alone.
Right. No, I love that. I love that advice. Always start small, and then you kind of start picking up from where you go. Are there any specific apps or anything that you would recommend that they can use so that they can track these things?
Yeah. So there's a bunch of them. One of the most popular food tracking apps is called MyFitnessPal. They're the OG app everyone started using back in the day. They got bought out by Under Armour. So they have a bunch of features, and they're really they're pretty in depth. They have a really wide food database. Sometimes there can be a little learning curve on that app in terms of using it. So some people will struggle with it, but often I recommend MyFitnessPal. There's a couple other ones. There's a bunch of them really, but My Macros Plus is one, I believe it's called. There's another one called Lose It. They all generally do the same thing. What you're really looking at in terms of which app is right for you is which one can I use? Like, which one do I like using? Do I like, because you're going to get on every day. So which one do you like to use? And how big is their database to make your life a lot easier? But then even a regression from that, Jeannie, just because you mentioned resources and stuff, even a regression from that, you can go good old fashioned pen and paper, really. Now, there's going to be a little more of a learning curve because you're going to know, well, what do I do? You're going to be doing math. You're going to be writing stuff down all day long.
That's too much for me.
For most of us would prefer apps, and they make our life easier. But let's say someone doesn't even have a let's go real low level here. What if someone doesn't have a smartphone or isn't very technologically strong? Then write it down, and you can even go another step below that, and you don't have to write down the calories and stuff. Write down everything you ate throughout that day.
How you feel,
and find something where it's like, just look right at it. Like, oh man, I don't think I eat too bad. Then you write down all day. It's like, well, I guess I did have, a chocolate bar at 3 o'clock in the afternoon every day for the past 3 days. What happens when we take that out? And then all of a sudden you just dropped 400 calories in your day, and you just lost a pound a week for the next month. Wow. There's a lot of ways we can do it.
Yeah, it's definitely small steps. I did that. I did a process of elimination years ago, which was really hard to start, but then you start realizing as you start incorporating things back in that your body responds differently to different things. So I actually realized that, found out that I'm allergic to rice. Ironically.
No kidding. Oh my gosh.
Latina. Yes.
So Texas queen is allergic to rice. How does that even work?
I tell you. So I noticed that whenever I had rice, I would go into coughing fits and a lot of phlegm. Excuse you for those that are listening. Yeah. So the doctor told me it was actually I have a small allergic reaction to it. But doesn't stop me from eating it because I'm Latina. I just gotta be prepared and have it earlier. If not, I have all these weird issues. But paying attention is key. So I know that you are the business owner of your business, and this is a business platform as well. So I want to know, because I remember you being a trainer, because I had heard of you before you joined our networking group, and I remember hearing that you were a coach there, and then all of a sudden you have your own location. How was the transition for you from being pretty much an employee, right?
Yeah.
You were an employee at that location to now being the business owner of an amazing gym.
Yeah, no. So good question. The transition was smoother than most people would probably handle going on like business on their own, but mostly because I was an employee at another location that I was a part of from the ground up, to be honest with you. So I had the privilege of learning a lot of business stuff very early on, being able to see behind the scenes of how this thing can grow, from hiring employees to figuring out how to bring in more clients in the door and selling packages and all that kind of stuff, along with being able to train a lot of clients and get a lot of experience that way. So when my wife and I went on our own, it was really just a matter of starting from scratch again, but having the skills that we've already built. I compare it to like playing a video game that maybe you played this video game all the way up to like level 5, and then you started back over. Well, the first time you went through that, it took a while to get through those levels, but then when you start back over, you remember everything. You know not to go that way, you go this way instead, and all of a sudden you get to like that level 5 a little quicker. So I would compare that for us, for our unique experience. That's kind of how it was. There was definitely challenges that we weren't prepared for, that most business owners can relate to. From, a lot of it was more mental than anything. It was kind of, having the conviction that you're on the right path, taking risks, making decisions that if they don't work, in certain degrees, if they don't work, it's all on you, or, you look like an idiot, or, you lose a bunch of money because like an advertising campaign didn't work or something. So that was new for me to handle, because before, like I said, I had a business I was working with other people, we had more of a safety net, is the best way to put it. So it was a mindset shift for sure. But we've been at it on our own now for about 1.5 years. And we've really gone through a good stretch of gaining a lot of conviction, I guess. Like we feel really good about where we're at. We have a really good foundation of clients that are helping us grow, and we're really excited for 2026.
Okay. And do you have multiple coaches under you, or is it just you and your wife right now?
So it's just me and my wife right now. We'll see. That'll most likely change in 2026. The cool part about what we do, and this is the biggest differentiator between kind of like the path we came from to then starting on our own, the cool part of what we do is we offer primarily semi-private coaching. Most people, so traditionally you're going to look at personal training as either a one-on-one scenario, or you look at like large group classes where, like a CrossFit type class or something, where 15, 20, 25 people in a class. Then there's neither one is wrong necessarily. They're just different ways of doing something. What we have found has been working really well this past year or so is what we call semi-private training. So we keep the client to trainer ratio 4 clients to 1 trainer.
Okay.
And it's small enough that we can give individual coaching where it matters, like when we're doing our compound movements, when someone's a little bit more of a beginner or someone that is advanced that needs some more advanced techniques or whatever. It's small enough we can do that, but big enough that it's easier to schedule more clients in those like hot times, like the 7 a.m., the 8 a.m., the 6 p.m. after work. We can help more clients at once, and it's much less than traditional one-on-one coaching. So it's not the cheapest thing in the world, but we're able to give that, what I believe is the same level of coaching, the same level of attention, but you're sharing essentially a traditional one-on-one price. So anyway, to answer your question, that's a big reason we've been able to grow to the point we are right now over this past year. We're at like, our in-person location, we float right now between 55 and 60 clients between my wife and I. There's no way we do that in a one-on-one setting. So her and I, we're rocking, and we've been on the gym floor together for so many years. I personally have to take a step back sometimes and realize like I couldn't ask for a better teammate on the gym floor, because there's a flow to it. There's a chemistry to it. And we've been doing it for such a long time. I think our clients really enjoy the sessions we can put together with them.
Now, I completely understand what you're talking about, the chemistry on the floor, because me and Gabby, we used to actually work out and compete together. And we brought that onto the floor. Like, it was important for us to have everyone that was with us in the gym to have the same energy, because energy is really important in the gym. So as you can see behind me, I put my
I know, I love it.
Is kettlebells, right? So I have a quick question for you, because I've been in both. I've been both in conventional and then the free weights, which is the barbell and everything. My personal desire is the barbell, but for someone that doesn't understand the difference between the two, and someone's walking into it, how would you explain the difference, and who would you recommend one or the other to? Because not everyone can do one.
Yep, I love that question. So Obviously, this is going to slightly change based on their fitness level. But let's talk about a beginner walking into the gym with no guidance at all. Your first bet then is sticking with the machines, because the machines, and that was not where you're going to stay for life by any means, but that I would definitely recommend, you're walking in for the first time ever, start there first. Because the machines can only do one, not that you can't get hurt on them at all, but they typically can only move one way. There might be a little learning curve figuring out how to adjust the seat for the body and whatnot, but they're only going to move one way. A shoulder press is only going to go up. Well, you can sit on it a million different ways. It's only going to go up over your head. A chest press is only going to go this way. You eliminate the stability factor of having to balance the weights. You eliminate your body's requirement of like working its own independent kind of movement pattern. Which you haven't, a brand new beginner hasn't trained those movements ever. So they're not going to be as comfortable or as stable doing those things. So if someone's walking in the gym brand new, they're going to start on the machines, but then slowly start dabbling as you gain confidence, as you gain strength, and stability and control over your body, then slowly start dabbling into the free weights, because really they all work synergistically together. We incorporate machines, body weight exercises, dumbbells, and barbell movements in every single workout we do with every single client, because depending on what phase of the workout you're in, and depending on what the goal is of that workout for the day, you're going to need different tools to accomplish what we're trying to achieve. So the progression I usually walk people through is fix the machines first, where you just sit on and it does one thing and that's it. And then graduate to dumbbells, because the cool part about dumbbells is each individual arm or leg doesn't necessarily have to work in sync, because if the right hand is going faster than the left, you're going to look a little lopsided, but you're not going to be hurting. Nothing's going to fall off. One's not doing more than the other. A 20-pound dumbbell, 20-pound dumbbell, they're both moving. In that control, you graduate to what I would graduate people to as a Smith machine first, if you have one at your gym before the dumbbell, because now what the Smith machine is going to do is allow you to load more weights in those movements and start learning how to use your hands in sync. But it has a little bit of a safety net, because the Smith machine, for anyone watching that doesn't understand the gym lingo, is basically a bar on a fixed track. So it's going to go straight up and down, but it's not going to go back and forth. So you're working your body around the bar instead of the bar working around you. And that's a really good way to get comfortable with a bar and feeling some heavier weight and just getting your body used to using that thing. And then finally you graduate to barbells. And that's exactly what we do with our clients is we start with dumbbells for main compound movements. They're going to do with the dumbbell variation first, then the Smith machine variation, then the barbell variation. And then once they've proven they've kind of mastered all three, then we interchange which one we're using, again, for the individual's goals and where they're at in their workout phase, how they're feeling that day. If I could have a client that crushes barbell squats every single week, but then they come in and they're kind of beat up that day. Hey, maybe we go on the Smith machine today. That's where we start using these tools for what they're really good at. And that's kind of that would be the progression I typically recommend.
No, definitely. I love that. And I always feel people want to jump into the barbell, but they have to strengthen their core and have the stability in place. So a lot of people don't understand that. But also with the machine, I guess it allows you to kind of focus on one body part instead of, the whole in itself. Okay, I'm so excited. I want to go to the gym right now.
Good.
But okay, so I do want to touch on the importance of, a few things. So women and heavy lifting.
Yeah.
I'm a huge advocate of that. So I believe that women need to heavy lift. So what are your thoughts on that, and why do you think that thought that you're going to mention right now?
Yeah, for sure. So I 100% agree with you. And there's even more studies showing now that when we say heavy lifting, like big emphasis on the heavy, and that's male and female population in terms of what it does for your bone density and ligament, tendon and ligament health. And longevity, injury prevention, like big emphasis on the heavy part of that lately, and some of the data we're seeing now. But to stick with the, kind of how we feel about women lifting heavy, it's not uncommon to have a woman resist wanting to lift heavy weights because they equate it to getting big and bulky. And it's a conversation I have every single week, bare minimum, at least once a week, is just because you're lifting heavier weights, that's not going to equate to you getting big and bulky and completely off what your actual goals are. Lifting heavy weights, one, is going to allow you to build more lean muscle, which if your goals are to lose body fat and to get smaller, you want more lean muscle. You're not going to accidentally turn into a bodybuilding champion. You want more lean muscle because it's going to increase your metabolism. You will utilize calories more efficiently, and it will provide you the tighter toned look you want. Comes from building lean muscle. And the best way to build lean muscle is through getting stronger. And the only way you're going to get stronger is eventually those weights get bigger and get heavier, right? So lifting weights in general is the first thing I recommend 99% of people doing, because it just has the most bang for your buck benefits in one form of exercise. And then once you're lifting weights, a principle of weight training, that it's not a theory, it's not an opinion, it's a fact that to make progress in the gym, you have to work through what we call progressive overload, which is another word of saying getting stronger week after week, or at least getting stronger regularly, increasing the tension. And that doesn't just have to be the weights getting heavier, but eventually it does. So that means doing heavier weights, or doing the same weight for more reps, or doing the same weight and reps, but with better control, aka better form. If you focus on accomplishing one of those three things every single week, every time you go into the gym, you will progress. But from a physique standpoint, from a longevity standpoint, injury prevention, and then honestly, mentally too, we find, and my wife and I were just talking about today, because we had so many clients this morning, and I'm not gonna say every single one of them hit a PR, but so many of them just brought it today, and they got so much stronger, and a majority of them were women. And it's just so cool to see people. I remember specifically, I wish I could remember which client it was, but she said, one of the clients said, I would never be doing this without you guys. I would never have any clue I could lift this weight. And again, this is a person that wants to lose weight. This is a person that wants to get smaller. But what my point is, the confidence you build when you are moving heavy stuff, when you are challenging your body, when you're struggling with something and getting through it, that challenge that you experience every time you work out is huge in your day-to-day life. Let's face it, women are so often told to be smaller and reduce themselves, be smaller, from a social standpoint, reduce themselves. And it's such an empowering thing for women to learn that, hey, you can lift some heavy stuff, you can hang with the guys, and you're a lot stronger than you think you are.
Yeah, 100%. I always hear women saying, "No, I don't want to lift heavy because I'm going to bulk up," and that's not the truth. The truth is, it creates the bone density, and we see women as they age, they start becoming frail, and the reason why is because the bone is not. There's the term called it's remodeling, right? So we shed our bone the same way we shed our skin, and if we're not incorporating that strength, we cannot strengthen our bone. And women, unfortunately, don't understand that. So I'm always trying to tell people, go a little heavier. And then those 2-pound weights, for me, I started out with 15-pound weights, and I have my 25s over here and my 20-pound kettlebells, because that's where I'm going to next. But I'm doing baby steps as well, because I've been out of the loop for a little while. Also, I feel people don't understand the importance of lifting weights. You mentioned that, it'll help your mental state, right? So it'll give you confidence, which will actually help you transform your everyday life on the outside, because what happens within, we'll start seeing it reflected on the outside. And people don't understand the power that it is, that food is medicine and exercise is medicine. So with that being said, I want you to share your knowledge on health-wise. I know a lot of people are very ill. I come from New York City, so people are more competitive and active over here. And here, it's not the case. So a lot of people kind of run away from the gym or activities because they're sick. And I just want you to touch upon how maybe they can incorporate into their healing if they do start bettering themselves physically.
For sure. So without getting into the weeds of maybe the chemistry, and without, staying within my profession, when you're forcing your body to overcome a stress regularly, your body's ability to withstand and be resilient in sickness, and when a virus comes into play, increases, right? And there's plenty of studies that support that kind of idea, where your immune system literally improves when you are fitter. Along with that, if you're more active, if you're running around more, you have more energy, it's going to take a lot more to kind of hold you down. A little sniffle or whatever the case can be, a little sore throat, within reason, without getting everyone else sick, isn't going to necessarily put you up into bed. And a lot of times people that are, not as active, that are a little more out of shape, all their other blood markers start decreasing and start showing up bad on blood work and whatnot. And that's going to impact their immune system. Now they're going to be sick more often. Now they're going to move a lot less. And now it's the reverse compound effect. It's a downward spiral of all of a sudden they look back and they don't even feel like themselves anymore, because they just can't get out of their own way. So of course you have to start, but that's where then sustaining, and why we tell people so much to be consistent throughout this, because again, it's going to translate into the rest of your life. But yeah, your immune system is directly correlated with your overall fitness and wellness and how active you keep yourself.
Yeah, definitely. We have we're powerful beings. People don't understand how powerful we are. Look
how long we've made it here.
I know. I've had so many bone structure issues.
Yeah.
And this was before I started even training, since I was a little girl. And I always found that when I went and I worked out very easily, it would kind of take all the pain away, the inflammation and everything. And people don't understand that. I've been medicine free. I stay away from medicine.
Yeah.
But recently, a few people in our networking group saw me, and they knew that I was wearing a brace on my knee. The doctor wanted to do some things. This is a disclaimer real quick, right? What I say and do and what Joe is saying, is our personal experience. We do recommend that if you need any advice, any medical advice, please do go and see your doctor, your medical doctor, and always ask them what is the best route for you. And then ask them if you want to incorporate fitness and nutrition as well. Have them okay that as well, depending on the medications that you're taking. So this is my disclaimer real quick. But what I noticed was that with my mindset and paying attention to my movements and which I know a lot of people, unfortunately, the school system, I'm in finance. The school system has failed us in finance and also on how our body works. Yeah. Ironically, the two things that the government is kind of feeding off of us on, right? But like muscle structure, like if you know how your muscles are connected and where the bands are, you'll be able to relieve the pain, because I always say our body is meant to protect us, right? So you as a gym coach, you know that. That when if it's trying to protect one thing, it causes inflammation, but it's the way it's trying to protect it, but it could be painful.
Yeah.
Right. So if someone walks into the gym, let's say that with the pains and the aches, the lower backs and the knees, and how do you start treating that person so that then they can start kind of, I want to say, being physical in their life, because that can bring a whole toll of things into this person's life, that pain. So how would you address someone that walks into the gym and says, look, I'm in this pain, and how can I get from here to there? How would you address someone walking in?
Great question. So assuming it's not a major injury that would require assuming it's not going to require me to say, hey, stay home, you tore your ACL, maybe no. In that case, obviously, like you said, you're going to go to your doctor and you're going to rehab it, properly. You're going to have surgery, whatever. But if it's like, hey, I haven't been moving for X amount of years, and my knee flares up, my lower back causes me pain, my ankle kind of feels funny every once in a while, my shoulder bothers me when I'm using it too much. In that case, then it's the same thing. We start small, like we've been saying, however many times in this conversation. We start small, and really, funny enough, but it's pretty simple. We start with what doesn't hurt. Okay, well, let's figure out what doesn't hurt. Let's work within there, and then slowly let's test our limits in the areas that are bothering us. Right? If your lower back's hurting really bad, well, let's not do any movements. And I'm going to get a little jargony here, but let's not do any movements that load your lower back. So let's maybe avoid heavy hinge movements. Maybe let's not put any weight on your back, on your shoulders that are going to give you some of that spinal compression. let's keep with body weight exercises. So we want to figure out like where is our limit actually at. So let's work within our limits small. And then every time you come back, let's try to bump that up just a hair, right? So if your shoulder's beating you up really bad, we can start with some basic like rehab or prehab type of exercises with, band external rotations and internal rotations and things like that to get your shoulder activated. And then slowly, let's see if you can hold, depending on where they're at and how beat up they are. Okay, let's slowly figure out, okay, can we press something over our head? Can we, I've had 80-something-year-old clients where, sometimes they're coming at me so, so inflamed and so tight and so restricted that we'll start a shoulder press with just hands, and we'll just start working on getting our hands over our head in the movement pattern that we want and with the form that we want. And then we add the 5-pound dumbbells and we add 10-pound dumbbells. And you would take that approach and that process through everything. If your knee's beat up, okay, well, how much can we bend our knee? How far can we get down in a lunge? How high can we step up onto a platform? And then slowly let's increase that platform, or let's hold some weights. And that's going to be the name of the game, no matter what your kind of injury is. And then you'll see over time, one, that'll improve, and two, those little nagging things will start to be very much reduced over time. They won't ever 100% be eliminated, I'll be honest with you. There's always going to be something that's annoying you, but it's going to be so minuscule compared to someone walking in that's just like up just in this constant state of pain.
Yeah. So not only can someone walk in on their journey to begin their fitness journey, but they can also walk in with the pain. Because I know people say, "Oh, I'll wait till I feel better so that I can walk into the gym," not realizing
get you better.
Huh? I'm sorry?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, this is what's going to get you better.
Exactly.
It's active recovery.
Definitely movement is key for lowering that inflammation and everything. I feel that when people stay like still because of the pain, they're causing more damage because now the muscles are all kind of tightening. If something hurts, I always say, well, it hurts, so let me go for a walk. I heal everything with a walk, but ironically it works for me. I don't know. It works
very well. I'm not gonna lie. You're not wrong. You're not too far off there.
Yeah, it's like my back hurts, I'm going for a walk. My knee hurts, I'm going for a walk. And it's something small strides, but it kind of kicks it back into where it should be. So I know that everybody must be waiting for the magic questions, for that magic pill, because we are going to be ending the year in a few hours, right? So everybody wants, okay, starting January 1st, I'm going to start the new me. I want you to tell the audience a few things. Don't focus on the date. Don't focus on the day. I always say refocus your thinking on something else, right? Because I think we're all caught up on January 1st. That's why we fail. We focus on the wrong thing, right? And I did go through some of your videos. I think your videos are absolutely wonderful. The knowledge that you give is very powerful. Someone is asking right now, I can hear them. Can you ask them, how do I get started tomorrow? So how does someone can get started, but how can they not burn out? So burnout as in the fact that, let's say it's a stay-at-home mom that's watching this, or maybe someone has a job and they have very limited time. Both are very hard, right? Because they're both full-time jobs. They don't have the resources, they don't have the money, and they're saying they also don't have the time. What is your advice to someone that is in both the working too much and the stay-at-home mom?
So if you don't have, if you believe you don't have the time to do anything, you don't have the resources to do anything, I would strongly suggest, this is sometimes where the tough love comes into play, strongly suggest to take an audit of if that's really true, right? And you'll be able to find a lot of pockets of time that you aren't using to benefit yourself, and we can go down a rabbit hole with some of that stuff. But generally speaking, all of us, waste time doing something. So if we can replace that wasted time with some movement, with some things that are going to align with our goals and support us, that'd be step one. So I would tell both parties, the stay-at-home mom, the full-time working person, to take a real audit of what your life looks like and do everything you can to find even just a 30-minute window to give to yourself. And then and even if it's just, and most people have more than that, but even if it's just 30 minutes, hey, Joe, I am really just to the brim. I have every time a totally packed plate. Well, let's just find 30 minutes. And with that 30 minutes every day, do something that's going to support this goal. So one of those things would be to move, right? But you mentioned burnout. You don't have to do that every single day. And don't think that the only way you're going to make progress is by doing everything perfectly tomorrow. You don't have to have the most dialed in, structured meal plan right away. You don't have to have this super advanced workout program that has you in the gym 5 days a week, an hour and a half at a time to just to make progress. You just need to, like we keep saying, you just need to start. So during that 30 minutes, tomorrow is an easy one. If you have 30 minutes tomorrow, move. If you don't know what to do when you move, again, look it up on YouTube. 30-minute workout, 30-minute beginner workout with no equipment. Search it. I guarantee you the top 3, 4, 5 videos are going to be good enough for you, and just do it and do whatever you can. And then the next day, and then you're done for the day. You checked off that box. Then the next day, you just worked out. You want to recover. You just started again. You're probably going to be sore. The next day, use that 30 minutes to cook cook your meal prep for the week or for the next few days, or whatever the case may be. Make a better nutritional decision, because now you just took that 30 minutes and maybe you made enough food for the next 2 days. Well, now you just improved your diet for the next 2 days because of a decision that took you 30 minutes to execute on. And then on the day after that, go back to working out. And so my point is, without going too long here, take an audit of what you actually have available to you in terms of time, and utilize that time to do something that's going to support you. And the more time you have, of course, the more options you're going to have available, right? You'll be able to drive to a gym and be able to do a workout there, maybe that might be a little more suited or custom for you, or whatever the case may be. But again, it just take an audit of what you actually have available. Start with something and eliminate the idea and the belief that everything needs to be perfect right out the gate. It just has to be better or more than what you're doing right now. Back to what we talked about earlier, the compound effect. Like, just needs to be better.
Yeah, that's awesome. You are definitely a bucket of knowledge, and I'm so grateful to have you here. So 2026, what is in store for Joe Randazzo, his gym? What are your plans? What is new? What is it that you want to get out there for everyone to know about you?
we have some big plans in 2026. Majority of them I will wait to announce, but I will say this: in 2026, we plan to impact more lives than we have this past year. We plan to deliver more resources, more value for our clients, whether that be just improving the knowledge of the coaches so we can bring forth better workouts and a better source of knowledge, whether it be provide more client events that helps that support their journey along this entire way. Whatever the case may be, figure out how can we bring more and more value to our members so we can continue to support them throughout this entire journey. And then second to that is, how can we bring in more members so we can impact more people. And that's the main focus for 2026, is just more with our current clients, and more people brought into our community, because we really love what we're doing. And I'm supposed to say this, but I believe anyone that comes in would enjoy what they get when they're working with us.
I'm sure they will. And what is the age range? What is the youngest that you train?
Yeah. So currently our youngest client is 18, 19 years old. And our oldest client's 82.
Okay.
So a pretty big age range in there. Generally speaking, the more they get, once they get north of that like 70 age, that's when I start recommending they do private sessions, just so we can pace the session more according to that person. But yeah, anyway, that's 18 or 19 is our youngest. We had like a 15-year-old at one point, for a short period, for a few months last year. We had like a 14 or 15-year-old. But generally speaking, we work with, everyday adults. The majority of our clients are between 35 and 55, maybe between 30 and 60, if I broaden that a little bit. But, everyday adults that have lives that just want to make the most of the time they have in the gym.
Yeah, that's awesome. So age is normally 18 and older as in no limits, which is wonderful, because I feel like we can actually reverse a lot of things, even though we're 100%. Older.
It's the fountain of youth. It really is.
It's crazy how people don't understand that. But yeah. So, and You know what? I think that you have inspired me. Well, you definitely have inspired me. You inspired me a long time ago,
Love it.
but you inspire me, and I'm hoping that you inspire a bunch of people that are watching right now, and get them into the gym. Not only because it's New Year's, not only because they have an event, not
Yeah.
only because they just want to look good, but this is actually medicine.
Mhm.
And when it starts kind of kicking in, I can tell you, my husband gave me a vibrating plate for Christmas because
Yeah.
I'm like trying to build everything up, so
Uh-huh.
I do that early in the
Those
morning
are cool.
just to get my central nervous system a
Yeah.
little bit quiet in the morning. So I do that for 10 minutes.
Yeah. I
And
love
then
it.
I do it, so I've been really good. You're gonna be proud of me
Heck yeah.
eventually. Like I know a lot of people always expect also to see it really immediately, and you got to be patient because it's
Yeah.
work in progress.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so thankful for having you here today, Joe.
Thanks for having me. It was very fun.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna do this again and
Love it.
hopefully in the gym.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Come by to the gym and do something from there.
Yeah.
And I'm like I said, I'm grateful for your knowledge and for your passion, because a lot of people are in the fitness industry, and there's a lot of people posting videos and things like that, and it makes it easy for them. But unfortunately, they don't have the foundations
Hmm.
for this. So I'm thankful that you do have the knowledge and the foundation, so you can guide people into wellness into 2026. So, like I want to just close it here and say thank
Yes.
you for ending 2026 on this note, because we always hear this people saying, "Oh, the New Year's resolution." So I was like, I need Joe
Right.
on here,
Yeah. I love it.
And starting the new year, we're gonna start off strong. Remember what Joe said. Journal everything, pretty much,
Yeah.
right? Take
Hmm. Yeah.
notes of your food intake. Take notes of your activity.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going to be able to see what our time is like. So, are
Yep.
there any closing thoughts? Awesome. Are there any closing thoughts that you want to share with everyone?
Just start small, stack wins, and give yourself some grace, because it's not going to be perfect every day. You're going to screw up. We all do. I do. We all do it. So start small, give yourself grace, stack those wins, and just keep showing back up, and everything will start falling into place over time.
Beautiful. Thank you so much once again, Joe, for
Thank you,
being here. And I want to thank for everyone for logging on, watching this live. Please do share it with others. Have it on repeat if you have doubts in your mind of the journey that you're going on of health. Always remember that it comes down to your health. And he gave some amazing advice. It has mindset, it has your physical, it has your emotional. So take care of yourself in 2026. That should be your mission. And once again, as always, this is Jeannie of Latin Nexus. And I'm going to ask you to please share, like, and subscribe to the PA Empowerment, because if it wasn't for this networking platform, these interviews would not be going out. And we want to expand everywhere. So please make sure to like, share, and follow. And do not forget to subscribe. And I hope to see you. Well, I will see you in 2026 with some new guests on. And please make sure that you send any comments or anything on this video, even though it'll be posted. Post your comments. We want to know what your thoughts are. If you have any questions, Joe had his information on the bottom. I'll repost that with his information as well, so you'll be able to reach him directly. But do share questions and comments on there so that we can know what it is that you need. If you want to see any specific person, please feel free to reach out to me through email, through Latin Nexus. I'm Jeannie Ruiz on all platforms. Send me a message, say I would like to see this or hear more of this, because this is what we do. We bring in the most and the best for you. Okay, so I love you guys. Have a wonderful and safe New Year's party like it's 1999. Party, have a great time, and I will see you in 2026. I love you guys.